podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
So Wayne, I was just chatting with the old crew on WhatsApp and I was like, do we want Arsenal to win the league? I mean, my only doubt about that one is that they are fucking annoying, Arsenal fans. Just so annoying. But obviously we don't want City to win 3 in a row. Then it just dawned on me, hang on a minute. Could we win the league? Could we?
Oh, no. I have to be that guy. No, do you know what? Yeah, we could, because it's not out of the realms of possibility. I am inclined to believe Erik ten Hag and Casemiro are giving us license to dream.
Yeah.
And Manchester United is a team that has pulled improbable successes out of the bag more than anyone else. I'm not at this stage, like the last 2 or 3 years where you resigned to it being Liverpool or City, so you've kind of gone, oh, City then. I'm not at that point where I'm resigned to that happening, which is surprising considering the fact that they signed Haaland. So yeah, I was going to be, well, spoiler alert, well not spoiler alert, let every one of the listeners into a little secret. Before we came on air, you did pose that question to me and I said, no chance. But now I'm feeling a little bit optimistic 3 minutes later. It's surprising what a 3-0 win over Bournemouth can do to your optimism.
That's right. I mean, the World Cup sort of broke United's rhythm, didn't it? Because we were playing quite well before the World Cup. And in a sense, I guess we shouldn't get carried away by beating a championship side to the bottom 3 in Bournemouth. But that momentum really does count for a lot. And especially going into a cup game against, well, let's see if Lampard's still manager by the time we get to that cup game. But Everton in a bit of disarray, should be another win. So that would make it, 7 in a row, if I'm counting correctly, if we beat Everton. Heading into those tougher games to come, City, Arsenal on the horizon, aren't they? And that momentum counts for a lot. So I was tongue firmly in cheek. I don't expect United to win the league. But I'm feeling very confident that we can push hard. I mean, the consistency is coming. We know what this team is about and how they're going to play. I think the chances we gave up today, and it's still a clean sheet, but were only when they kind of eased off in the centre of midfield on the defensive work and Bournemouth took a few gambles. This is a team that looks like a functioning proper team. There's some strength in depth. I mean, we've seen this week with alternate centre-back partnership today against Bournemouth. Wan-Bissaka doing pretty well at right-back. We've got options. Tyrone Malacia the other night at left-back. You'd only really say it's the centre-forward spot that it's a risk, especially with Martial not playing so well today, really. But it just feels like everything's positive. We have a team. There are options. The momentum's with us. We have a coach who knows what he's doing. Very single-minded about it, but he's always on the right side, the right balance between arm around the shoulder, being the disciplinarian, defensive nous, creativity. It just feels like the right balance, going in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were fantastic today, in the first half in particular, but I think it's because I am a little bit in love with Casemiro, because maybe not the last part
who
of
wouldn't
the game.
be?
The first 40 minutes of that performance, colossal. He was like the only player on the pitch. He was incredible. His ability to make interceptions, to dominate a game of football. Yes, it was Bournemouth, but that's the game of football that we were playing. That's the game of football that he was playing, and it was his game for that period of time. He was unbelievable. Ten Hag made all the right calls in terms of, he obviously rotated the side a lot. We've talked about this before. I'm not generally convinced about the ability to do that because of the quality of the squad. But it seems as though he's got some kind of finger on the pulse in terms of what he can and can't do. That was back four that we played mostly under Solskjaer. And all right, maybe we gave up a few chances because we played deeper than usual. And because of that back four, and like you said, Bournemouth taking a few extra gambles. But I think we earned what we got today. Some of the football was exceptional. I know that Bournemouth, to be fair, some of Bournemouth's one-touch football was better than ours in the way that they were breaking. I think we were a little bit clunky with that, but sometimes some of the combinations and some of the way that we were using space, it is the economy of the play, the likes of Casemiro and Eriksen that we've talked about before.
Right.
It's the kind of performance, the kind of result that we've taken for granted so often in the Ferguson era. You know, you pull into a 3-0 against Bournemouth and then you'd sleepwalk for the next half an hour. And
over the last 10 years, how many stats have we heard? Bournemouth's first victory at Old Trafford since 1371 or whatever, and maybe not that long.
That would have been a long time.
That would have been a long time, but that kind of thing, and now we can start to believe that those kind of wins can be routine, and then it's about the big games, which is where, to be fair, Solskjaer sort of excelled in those big games. So we can combine the two. We're on for a good points total. I mean, the great analysis, Ed. Well done.
No, don't discredit the point. That is a point, and maybe where Ten Hag has come undone. Well, where he came undone against City was not being as pragmatic from the start as he could have been.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's right. And sometimes it's okay to play the opposition in front of you. And so as Newcastle did today at Arsenal and got their point by playing pretty defensive football. But I mean, you talked about some of the lovely football. I mean, let's just talk about the goals, because I mean the goal 2 and 3 especially, the cutback from Garnacho to Luke Shaw to put it away with his right foot, and then the third one, which was the first time pass from Bruno and Rashford to put it in. Great goals. I mean, even the ball from Eriksen to Casemiro to put it away was great for the third. I mean, just some really nice football. I mean, there have been times under Ollie, some occasions under Mourinho, and some occasions, especially early in his time under Van Gaal, when we've played good football, but not really for this kind of level of consistency. Have we seen that in the last 10 years? And maybe I'm being blinded by recency bias. Could well be, but it just feels like this is a team. It's not the most expansive team ever, and we clearly have some issues converting chances, creating and converting, but they are trying to play good, dominant football from back to front. Feels like the right way. Feels like the Manchester United way. TM. It's like, welcome, Eric. Where have you been?
I tweeted about this earlier. I tweeted a thread while you were asleep over there. I tweeted a thread about this because it was the turn of the year. I thought, you know what, it's a good time to sort of draw a line in the sand and say, what have we done so far? So it was 24 games, good sample size to sort of say that kind of start. And I think you're right. Yes, maybe recency bias. But I did look back at this and I thought, when you've looked at what we've seen from Ten Hag and you compare it to the previous managers, and I'll put my flag in the sand here, I supported all of those managers, even Mourinho. I saw, certainly in the first 24 games, it was only really Moyes where I was looking at it thinking, this really isn't working after about 20 games. I said, the way that he was talking, the way that he was carrying himself. But there's something more substantive there with Ten Hag. The chances that he's taking, the decisions that he's making are for the good of the team and for the good of the club. It's not self-preservation. There's no panic in the changes that he's making. You know, the Brighton and Brentford, the first 2 games, he made changes at half-time. They were proactive changes. And yes, we lost the games, but he was very proactive and it made improvements in the games. And then from then on, he was a little bit more bold with the selections that he made from the start of the game. He sort of said, all right, you've had your chances. I'm going to try and do this my way now. Whereas with Mourinho, I remember in his first few games, it was all, he rushed Rashford in after, you know, he didn't start with him and he rushed him back in because there was a bit of a clamour to bring him back into the side. There was a bizarre team that he picked against City. I remember we got played off the park against them in the early game and then we got battered at Chelsea. Van Gaal changed his formation after 45 minutes of his first game against Swansea, completely changed because he started with a back 3. Moyes, when he was in there, I think it was Ferdinand and Carrick, he ran into the ground like an old car for the first 5 weeks. You haven't seen that with Ten Hag. Even Solskjaer, a lot of people have said this to me, Solskjaer started really well, and he did. But there was always that doubt that it was not luck, but the naivety, the inexperience at the top level would come back. His decision making in some of the big games early on was very good, but it was that kind of like, how long is this going to last for? You weren't sure. Whereas Ten Hag, there's a lot more confidence in his decisions, and then maybe that comes with the conviction that he's had with the backing in terms of all of the major decisions. Yes, the judgment so far seems to be spot on, but he's also had the conviction to be able to make those decisions. Look, let's be right about this, Ed. We can talk, and we have done, for infinitum about Ronaldo and everything like that. But let's just, only to bring him up one more time, and then we can move on from him forever. Unless you want to gloat about the press conference today, which was a farce.
That was great. I do, yes, but I'll let you finish your point.
Right, okay. So the thing is, that if this was any other manager or any other time in United history, post-Ferguson, and this had happened with Ronaldo, it'd still be a circus now. It'd be disrupting everything. It'd be undermining everything. It'd be like, oh, God, there's chaos going on and blah, blah, blah. Ten Hag, there has not been a single peep about it. United have just gone on business as usual. No one's really talking about it. The closest we've had to any murmur about it is the Viva Garnacho chant. There's been nothing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's gone. And that is a real indication of the strength that he's got. And I really do. Yes, it may be recency bias. It may be that optimism. And yes, it is only a 3-0 win over Bournemouth, but it is 6 on the bounce. And it does feel so much more solid. It feels so much more like we're moving in the right direction. It reminds me a little bit, if I dare to dream, and I'm not going to get carried away with my comparison, it reminds me a little bit of where we were in 2005-06. We're not right there. There's one or two things missing, but you can see where those things need to come in. It looks like a team. I know you mentioned the missed chances, and yes, that is an issue, but it's a team that's starting to smell goals and look like they can score them. And that's really, really exciting.
Yeah, and the way United pushed today in the second half, even when the game was dead, they're smelling goals. They wanted to play. They kept trying things. Bruno kept trying things. He got his reward with the assist at the end because I think he kept on. And yeah, I mean, are we on the cusp of, 3 league titles and 3 Champions League finals in 4 seasons or whatever it is? Hey, maybe. Look, if Arsenal this season has taught us anything, it's that it does take a little time to build a team, and if you believe in it, trust your manager to do it, and you can go from being nowhere to being somewhere. Now, I have my doubts about whether Arsenal will sustain it. I think United will be a bit short this season, but with the right kinds of additions next summer and the right development in some of the younger players we have, then why not? I mean, we're building towards something finally. Yeah, the right kind of structure at the club. In that previous chat I referenced, I couldn't help but go, like, as well as talking about, wow, could we win the league this season? I couldn't help but be cynical. Of course, the Sultan of Brunei is going to come in and buy us and install his son as manager and ruin everything. And we did, honestly, we don't know what happens in probably this quarter, where there's a sale or at least bids are taken, and we don't know whether that will change the momentum. We've seen over at Chelsea that the new owner came in and decided to install himself as the director of football and go and splurge cash everywhere. And has that helped them? Maybe not. Fired a European Cup winning manager, installed his dude, spent £300 million and another 100 million to come this week by the looks of it. And it's not necessarily helped them build on what they had before. So could that be disruptive? Yeah, maybe. But in the football department, it does feel like Ten Hag and Murta and Ten Hag's coaching team and the recruitment team are all in sync. And how often have we said that about the commercial and the football departments being connected in the last 10 years? Not often, basically. And so, yeah, there's a little voice on one shoulder saying, who's going to ruin this? Someone's going to come along. But it doesn't feel like Ten Hag's going to ruin it.
No.
He has real authority, as referenced with his dealing with Marcus Rashford this week, and the players who've lost their place due to poor form Harry Maguire, and the players who've lost their place due to Piers Morgan, Ronaldo. Ronaldo this week, as you referenced, he's off to South Africa, and it's not the end of his career. It's just a new chapter in South Africa, which is also part of Asia. Good stuff, Ronnie.
Yeah, it just about sums everything up for him, doesn't it? You know, I'm infinitely more sympathetic to his plight than you, and I'm not very sympathetic to it. Yeah,
I've moved on too. But I did find that amusing. There was another story in the Marca where I like looking at the sourcing. It's gone around a few stupid websites that he has a clause in his contract that would allow him to move to Newcastle if Newcastle qualify for the Champions League. So,
yeah.
Although honestly, that wouldn't surprise me because they're owned by the same entity. Ultimately,
Marca denied it, right? Someone at Marca denied it on
right.
Twitter. So I don't know who runs their Twitter, but someone had clarified that story. I just feel it's a lot of money to play in a kit that looks like it's a pub league kit.
It really does.
It's a bad kit. It's a really bad. And I like yellow strips, but that is a Sunday League kit. It's really bad, and I don't know. Just sign for like Dream Team or Harchester Rovers or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. They at least
something
have a nice
more
strip.
romantic. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway,
he talked about the infamous of the league. I doubt he's ever seen a game. I'm 100% sure of that. I'm sure he's never done. That said, there's real football culture there, right? They get big crowds. We saw during the World Cup. They're passionate fans. They were not like bought and paid for. There's a real football culture. I mean, there's also some other cultural problems.
Yeah, it's the global game. So like, I don't. Yeah, if I'm taking the mick and saying Sunday League, I just mean the quality of the kit looks.
Yeah, no, it's terrible kit. It's truly
crazy.
Terrible.
But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The quality of a football league isn't reflective of the passion and the identity of it to that domestic support. And I don't mean to denigrate that. Some of the best. I mean, I've not really covered it in detail, but I do have an interest in the American game and sort of the evolution of it from the 60s, 70s to the current iteration, and even the demise in the 80s and everything like that. And I do find the sort of franchising aspects of it and everything, all of that kind of stuff is really intriguing to me. I talk to Gordon Hill regularly, and he's obviously lived out there for a number of years and he's involved in the game. And he always has this phrase of saying, you can't put the sport in a microwave. You know, you can't, and that's what they try to do sometimes. And well, Gordon has many sayings, but that's one of my favourite ones.
No, it took me a while to clock what that meant. Yes, which is what they tried to do with the previous iteration of whatever it was called, North American Soccer League, or when Pele and Best and Cruyff and Beckenbauer. Beckenbauer.
Yeah, all of them.
Were
all of those, yeah.
All of them, right. And yes, they've been in the slow cooker for the last 25 years, building support, building a culture. In some cities, like where I am, here, Gordon's not far from me, actually. I think he's just down in Bonny Lake. So here where I am in Seattle, real football culture, even though it's a young club. Same, you could say, in both clubs in LA, in Atlanta, some big support, Portland, big support. And so, anyway, we're going off on tangents as usual. But Ronaldo will be playing in a country with football culture, even if the reason for bringing him over is really to be ambassador for the 2030 World Cup bit, I assume.
That might work. It might work. But in terms of getting eyes on the game, I don't think it will. You know, like the Beckham experiment.
No one's going to be watching the Saudi Arabian League on ESPN. I just, can't see it. Although many things have happened. Maybe it'll be the latest outpost for football hipsters to go and catch a game.
Maybe.
You never know. You don't have to be a football hipster to enjoy United, though. It's United's still the world's most popular club, sort of, depending on whether you believe the metrics that their marketing department pumped out.
You better get in quick because they are stopping the memberships. So if you want to be part of the 79 billion fans, then you better get in quick because they're stopping them, and then you won't be able to get a ticket for the rest of the season. And then that will be sad. So then, I wonder if that means if there's, I don't know how many, I made that number up, but if they stop taking the memberships, well, they are doing in the next week or two, does that mean that they've got no one can be a fan as acknowledged by the club? Because that's they say memberships is relative to the number of fans that we've got. No one can be a fan anymore for the next 4 months.
they use the words supporters and followers interchangeably in their marketing. I did notice, coming back to Saudi Arabia, that someone posted some images on Twitter of one of the pitches. So United have long done this, actually, where they're looking for sponsors. They send around shirts as part of their pitch thing, which has the sponsors logo on. So visit Saudi Arabia or Saudi Arabia Tourism Authority or whatever the logo was on there. So it's one of the entities they're pitching at the moment to replace TeamViewer. I don't know whether that's real.
They were doing that 15 years ago. There's pictures of the kids 15 years ago with that. So.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, no, I actually met someone who's part of the Mayfair team who they'd send people very nice kits in boxes and the whole brochure and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, not new. And I can't remember where I was going with that one, but anyway, there was a game. Back to the game. Like apart from like the creativity of the performance and free-flowing football, I thought you managed it pretty well and managed the squad well as well. When I saw the lineup with all those changes, I was like, geez, this looks a bit one bit lopsided with the kind of ramming in Donny van de Beek in there. And a lot of changes, especially at the back, but it didn't... I hardly noticed it. They just slotted into the same formation. And isn't that the strength? It's what City can do. They could interchange like all of their 11 players and be almost the same strength.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
I think that's the value of maybe 2 or 3 months of having Casemiro and Eriksen as near constants in the team. There was one thing, because I do, surprising as it may be, I do take and make little notes in preparation for the podcast. And one of this is a nice little exercise that you can laugh at me about. I was just making a mental note of Luke Shaw, thinking, just after half time, I'm thinking, he picked up the ball. And I thought, oh, yeah, Luke Shaw. I think I would have liked to have seen Malacia play in this game because it's a game that he's not been getting a lot of time. It would have been a nice game for him to play. And then Luke Shaw carries the ball forward and then scores at the end of the move. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I was wrong on this one. I'm still surprised to see him play the full game. But, yeah, you're right in terms of it did raise an eyebrow when those players were named in the team from the start. But, you know, like I said, Casemiro and Eriksen were so good and they've been so good that they are... It's weird to say that the middle of the team is a spine, but they serve as such a soft and... strong foundation for this team. It's weird because that defence does move deeper. It does move deeper when those two centre-backs play. So for those two to be able to dictate the play and to make it look as secure as it has, because everyone can remember the jeopardy of 2 or 3 years ago when those players were in the defence, particularly Lindelof. You'd see him get bullied. You'd see him get bullied. I remember it might well have been Lindelof was it Joshua King who flicked the ball over him against Bournemouth in the 6-yard box. He flicked the ball over his head and span round and scored. He's got form for getting embarrassed against any attack in the league. So you do have to worry about that. I think the thing is, yeah, Casemiro and Eriksen were the big platform for which the entire team could perform today. I do want to give, while we're talking about the changes that were made, 2 little notes. Van der Beek, I know you're going to probably want to talk about him anyway. So unfortunate. I thought last couple of games he's not been brilliant, but I've seen a vision for where he could be in a team that you don't necessarily have to farm him out on loan because he can be part of that play because the interchangeable football that we play at the moment, he's very good at that. And Wan-Bissaka, having been, I know we talked about him last week on the pod, but I really like the way that he's sort of stood up and all right, maybe I was a little bit optimistic with the Forest where he was popping up in attacking positions, but the basics of what he is good at, you've seen that. And last season, you saw such a drop in confidence with his positioning and everything. You were at least seeing someone who's standing up to the task of saying, I'd rather be a squad player at United than somewhere else. And I think that's not necessarily a bad position for us to be in when you're looking at these squad players. If they are capable of coming in and doing a good job, then
and they want to, yeah. I wasn't sure whether Wan-Bissaka wanted to or not. I mean, I guess he spent a lot of time injured and ill as well, wasn't he? And has affected his ability to challenge Dalot. I just want to touch on one point you mentioned earlier about the defensive line height. I was really surprised, actually. I saw some stats from Mark Stats on Twitter, who does one of the guys who does a lot of the visualization. And United's average defensive line height, which is where the first defensive action from the defenders comes, and then averaged across the season, is the third deepest amongst the Premier League this season. I was surprised that it was that deep, that we're still a little deeper than perhaps Ten Hag would like us to be. I'm sure if you looked at the same stats for Ajax last season, it would have been 20 yards further forward. And we're probably headed that way. And he doesn't do it on a rolling basis, but it'd be interesting to check that later in the season to see whether that's changed a bit. Because the people who also have a very deep defensive line are the ones you'd expect: Forest, Bournemouth, West Ham, Leicester, Southampton, Wolves, Everton, Palace and United. And the press intensity is also quite low, right? Which also surprised me as well, but it may just be from where we've come. Yeah, right? From where we've come.
I know. I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking automatically, my brain is going to just check how many games Maguire has played this season. So he's played 11 times, not including today, I don't think. And I think that's quite a significant... Well, 6 games in the league, not including today. It's still a fairly decent number of games, and you wouldn't be surprised to see United playing that deep when he's on the pitch. Regardless of... They could be 20th in the league in terms of it, as far as I'm aware, because of the fact that he does play that deep. They'll play from the 6-yard box. So it's not. It's not something that concerns me when we've got the regular defence playing, because at least the ambition in the play is right, and I don't have anywhere near the amount of concern that other people do have about De Gea's distribution. Yes, he's not the best, but he's not high on my list of priorities of our problems, and he has improved. So if we've got the first team defence out there, I don't have a problem with it. And if we're playing against teams like Bournemouth, it's not necessarily an issue. It's an issue if we're playing Harry Maguire against Liverpool or Manchester City, because it exposes...
Because of the pressing intensity, yeah.
Exactly. It's
going to break down for sure, yeah. And then the other point you made about Luke Shaw, I mean, I know why Ten Hag wants him in there, because he's playing fantastically well. He's got a maturity in his game and a confidence about his game now, and he's productive at both ends of the pitch. Defensively, more sound than he ever has been in his career, and producing a lot going forward. In fact, all the attacking metrics among fullbacks, he was basically the best in the World Cup. So, we'll see the weekend. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he didn't get a rest against Everton in the Cup. It would be nice for Ten Hag to go for this one and for United to win a cup, because it's been a few years now, but I still wouldn't be surprised if there weren't a few changes. And then on Donny, I mean, there are games like this one and with the style that United have got, where he should be able to perform, and he was unlucky that he got tackled and the guy slipped as he was tackling him, and unlucky that he got the injury, lucky that it wasn't worse, because you see his leg buckle and like, Christ, that could have been a Luke Shaw against Feyenoord, couldn't it? Yeah. And just could have been really horrible. But unlucky for him. Don't know how bad it is and how long he'll be out, but he needs a few games to build some confidence, and he's not going to get any string of games basically. And But again, it's like, to the point with Wan-Bissaka and Scott McTominay when he's fit again, and Fred now, who came on and had a productive 15 minutes or so, and Donny and Garnacho, who came on, and Anthony Elanga. These are all really important players. And if they're playing well, it feels like United have a decent enough squad to challenge on multiple fronts and get into that top 4. If they're not playing well, then it looks thin, doesn't it?
Yeah. We could always do with another attacker, and I was inspired tonight by a Bournemouth forward that I think we need to sign, because we've got Anthony, we've got Anthony Martial, we've got Anthony Elanga, and we've got Jadon Sancho. And I think if we don't at least put an inquiry in to sign Jadon Anthony from Bournemouth, then we are doing a disservice to the headaches of commentators everywhere. Can you imagine? I would love it to just Jadon Anthony, Sancho, Anthony Elanga. It would be beautiful.
I mean, it really would test them, wouldn't it? Like, how many tongue twisters could you get? Can you imagine if have we got any other Jadons in the reserves? I don't think we do we? I mean, can you imagine putting out an Anthony forward line one week and a Jadon forward line another week? Wouldn't that be good?
For language idiots like me, yeah, I love it. I'd love it. For I don't think it'd be a great front line, but I'd like to see it. The Anthony one, we could play that against Everton. I'd be quite happy with that. It'd be great.
It could happen. Anthony will probably come back in. Anthony, the Brazilian Anthony,
yeah, which Anthony
team, and Anthony Elanga could do with some minutes. So there's good choice there. And unless Marcus Rashford is going to play again, then Anthony Martial will be playing. So yeah, look out for that one. Maybe that's a good segue into talking about Everton. So on the weekend pod, yes, me and Tom spent quite some time previewing the Everton game because I'd totally forgotten that we were playing Bournemouth in midweek. And
way to make me redundant, but yeah.
Yeah. I know. Well, I mean, as we are recording, Frank Lampard has not been sacked. What are the chances that he's still in the job by the weekend?
This is that. What was it? When is Liz Truss still Prime Minister? What the cabbage? Oh, the lettuce.
Yeah, the lettuce.
We'll have to do one for Frank Lampard lettuce. Yeah, they got such a good result against City and such a good goal to get it. Great performance to get that draw, and then they go and do what they've done tonight, which suggests that they'll probably turn up at Old Trafford and do something, and then he'll get sacked after that. It's always the way when you're a miserable football fan that something goes against your team all the time.
No. Well, I was more of the thought that Lampard would get sacked tonight. They'll get the new manager bounce.
Yeah,
I don't know who it would go. Duncan Ferguson would become the assistant, the temporary manager for the 15th time or whatever it is. I don't think he's even at the club anymore. I think he might have left to go and take up another opportunity. But he'd be running back, wouldn't he? Sprinting there. But Lampard would get sacked and they'd get the new manager bounce for the weekend and they'd come and beat us with the most intense performance they've put in years. That kind of thing. But, well, hopefully not. Hopefully Lampard hangs on for another few days and we can get him the sack at the weekend.
I really want to put that man out of work.
What is it about him? Apart from he's just got this kind of smarmy, smug quality to him. And he's just not that good either. It's just... I mean, he ruined Paul Scholes' international career by basically him and Gerrard insisting they
That's
had to
a hell of a grudge.
Midfield.
That is a 20-year grudge, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
I hold long grudges, yeah. And I still hate David Moyes on my deathbed when I'm 98. I outlasted you, Moyes.
God.
Assuming that I do. It'd be embarrassing for me. Well, you guys come back on at me on Twitter if I don't outlast Moyes. And you're like, you deserved it, Ed. Anyway, yes, there's something about Frank Lampard that's just particularly annoying. And like he should not get another job after this. But he will, won't he? And I don't know what it is about him and the qualities that chairman appear to see in him, but he has achieved nothing in his managerial career at all.
In all seriousness, it is. I'm not going to go as far as you with that, but what I will say is that I haven't seen anything that, when you look at a team and you said that team's represents its manager. Even Ole, a lot of people say, "Oh, you don't see what they're doing." That team, you could see an Ole team. You could say, "All right," if you were looking at a game of football, you'd say, "All right, that team's playing like a Solskjaer team." I don't see that with any Frank Lampard team. I didn't see it at Chelsea. I didn't see it at Derby. Don't see it at Everton. They're just a mishmash of players, and he doesn't seem to. I guess this comes from playing for Chelsea for so long. What was their identity? Cagey and pragmatic, and at least under Mourinho, and even after Mourinho for a while, they sort of bore that kind of identity. And to be fair, Lampard was a central figure in that. But there's nothing of that you would think if someone's been that deeply rooted in either that or, let's be fair, if we're going to be fair to Frank and generous, then he grew up in a really rich environment. Joe Cole, Rio Ferdinand, Jermaine Defoe, really good, rich environment for quality footballers, possibly the best outside United in the last generation from a club.
Mm-hmm.
So you would suspect that he would have some kind of good understanding of playing good football. And I don't see anything of either of those identities. And yeah, he will get another job. Possibly not in the Premier League, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him rock up at a Championship club.
Yeah, you wonder whether his ego could take it. I mean, I know he took a job with Derby in the Championship, but that was his first job. So, yeah, 6th to 6th with Derby and 6th to 6th with Chelsea or whatever it was, and 15th to 15th with Everton, something like that.
Well,
give or take a couple of spots here or there.
There is a lot to be said for consistency.
Yeah, that's true. What kind of team would you like to see then for this one? At Old Trafford, FA Cup... Lots of changes.
The game after that is
Friday night,
Charlton. But the game after that is Charlton in the League Cup, right?
That's probably sounds about right. Yeah,
the 10th. So okay. So I would go as strong as possible. You can rotate against Charlton. You can take those chances. You can play the same team as tonight, and maybe even a couple other players you can put in against Charlton. Just play the strongest team. Like you said, it's a competition that United can't afford to take chances with competitions, really. They might want to do that later in the season if, touch wood, they get further in them, but not this early in a cup competition. And to be fair, we're talking about Ten Hag getting almost everything right. He hasn't took chances with cup competitions. He did it. I think he rotated in the first game against Sociedad in the group, and I think that was when he sort of realised, I can't do this. This squad's not strong enough for me to do it. So as long as there is a trophy on the table and as long as there isn't a group there where he can afford to rest players or anything like that, I think that you will see him go with the strongest team where possible. And I'm not going to be surprised at all when that's exactly what I expect on Friday night.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call, actually, especially with Charlton coming up after that. And then City and Arsenal, the two games that come up after that. So it's the balance between keeping everyone fresh, but also keeping momentum.
Yeah.
And you start rotating 5 or 6 players out each game, then there's a risk of losing some momentum or at least losing some of the fluidity. So I think, that's a fair call. Strong team. Friday night, weird time to be playing an FA Cup tie.
Yeah. Well, I think you're the same as me. A little bit traditionalist. Should be Saturday 3:00 or at least like Sunday, like the Sunday. FA Cup games for me were always. I can remember. I know we'll probably be talking about the FA Cup in general in a while, but FA Cups for me were always either Saturday 3:00 or Sunday afternoon with the TV. This Friday night stuff. The only thing that I can think of with Friday night is that turgid game against Sheffield United. It might not have even been a Friday night. I might have just given it to Friday night in my brain because it was so bad. It shouldn't be played on a Friday night, but it is going to be. To be fair, we've played on every day these days, don't we? So
that's true. At least for the away fans, it's only 30 miles down the road.
Yeah,
and not that I have lots of sympathy for Everton fans or something like that, but we were playing Plymouth.
Yeah,
right, or something like that. I mean, not that TV companies will ever care about fans. Until they weren't there during the pandemic, then they really, really, really did care about them, and they put a price on them, and that's how much they asked for back from the Premier League.
Yeah.
So we're there to create an atmosphere for the TV companies, apparently.
Yes.
All right, I think that's it. Good victory for United. Another one to come. Jing for the title. We're in the title race. Wayne has said it. It must be true. We'll come back to this prediction. I know, I'm putting words in your mouth.
They're going to kill me on... Well, what's new? They just comment me on social media. Yeah, there, I said it. We're going to win it. So this is our year. Yes.
Thanks,
Ed.
That's right. My pleasure. Thanks, everyone. Catch you soon.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.